Hi, I'm Dr. Broussard with the Waggin Trained Veterinary Clinic. Today we're going to discuss dog preventative care, and we're going to run through some commonly asked questions. My assistant Cole is going to ask me those questions, and hopefully this will help you to get a little bit better understanding of some of the commonly encountered things.
Dr. Broussard, what is considered preventative care for dogs?
When I think preventative care, I think of procedures that we can do that will protect the length and or quality of your dog's life. Maintenance things like vaccinations, common medications that maintain their health.
What information does my veterinarian need to know about my dog's lifestyle before providing preventative care recommendations?
Yeah, good question. So certain vaccinations might be more prevalent with dogs that are, let's say, a hunting dog that's going to be outside and in those rough and rugged conditions. They're also going to be swimming in water, perhaps exposed to other parasites that, for example, an indoor dog will never be exposed to. So sometimes different vaccines would be warranted for different lifestyles. There's also different diets along those same exact lines. Dogs that are much more active and athletic might require higher protein, higher fat, maybe higher energy diet, if you will, than say a dog that is on the couch 24 hours a day. So it's different things like that. It's lifestyles and it's where or what they're exposed to.
What recommendations will my veterinarian make when it comes to my dog's preventative care plan?
Recommendations regarding a preventative care plan kind of touched upon it the last question, to be honest with you. The dogs that are outdoors more or more at risk, for lack of a better word, might require a more comprehensive vaccination schedule or other medications, maybe ear cleaners for dogs that swim a lot. They're more likely to have ear infections, so we would more than likely send them with an ear cleaner to try to get ahead of that and prevent those types of conditions.
What is the difference between insurance and a wellness plan?
Okay. Wellness plans cover, just as the name implies, wellness visits. What does that mean? That's going to cover things like your routine vaccinations, your routine annual physical exam. Some wellness plans actually cover dental procedures once a year, whereas insurance, pet insurance, is going to cover all aspects of medical care. So if you have a traumatic injury with your dog or a serious illness, insurance will cover those, whereas a wellness plan will not.
How can I keep my dog safe while in a car?
In a car, so first thing, the most important thing is to have them confined. You do still see a lot of dogs riding in the back of trucks. That is not obviously the safest way to go about it, and regardless of how well trained your dog may or may not be, your best bet, so if the dog's gonna be in the back of a truck in a kennel, would be ideal. And I would go one step further and even strap that kennel down. For dogs that are riding indoors, also, kennel is still the best option. If that is not something you like or are comfortable with, they make various harnesses that can actually attach to the seat belts in your car that prevent the dog, in the case of an accident or having to stop in short notice, it stops those dogs from flying around the cab of the car.
Why should I keep my dog on a leash when in public?
Because very, very, very few dogs listen well enough off leash, and there's always the unforeseen situation that you need to have control of your dog. If they see another animal, a squirrel, and anything, and they want to bolt off without a leash, you have no way to effectively stop them. Obviously, with a leash you do, and then there's a safety reason for the human side of it too. There are certain people that are fearful of dogs. They maybe are small children where a dog can be too much for them. For all of those reasons, it's just the literally only way to really have your dog adequately and properly confined or restrained.
What can I do to keep my house and yard pet safe?
House and yard pets safe. Biggest thing, again, it kind of depends on the dog. I have a couple of dachshunds. What do I try to do? I try to prevent them from jumping on and off of things to prevent injury. So first off, think of the size of the dog and where they stay. So if you need to put ramps or ladders up to your bed or to your couch or things like that, consider those things. Number two, make sure that they cannot access places where either chemicals or trash or things like that would be accessible. So make sure if you have a dog that's a digger or likes to be inquisitive, that they cannot access all the cleaning supplies under your kitchen sink or your trash can under your kitchen sink, because that leads only to trouble, as you can imagine. And then lastly would be outside dogs. Those dogs that are kenneled or housed outdoors, make sure that they have adequate shade, water, ventilation, and if they're loose in a yard, for example, you need to make sure the integrity of the fence, there's no holes, there's no place they can break through, for obvious reasons there.
What pesticides are harmful to my dog?
Wow, really this would turn into a very long video if I covered all of those. The most common things would be your pesticides like rat poison. Very, very toxic to dogs. They make 2 or 3 different types of rat poison that can affect a bunch of different systems. Again, I won't go into that here. That's the most common type. The best way to prevent it is avoidance. If you don't need it, don't use it. If you do have to use it, put it somewhere where the rat or mouse can get up there, but not your dog. That's the scariest one that I can think of, but there are countless pesticides that are used by exterminators, things like that. I would tell you to check with your exterminator to find out exactly what they're using and what precautions are necessary. And number 2, even if you can't do that, I will tell you that most exterminators, I mean, look, we live in a world that has domestic pets everywhere, so most products are pet safe. But I would still take every precaution. Inquire with your exterminator. And number 2, when they do spray, give it adequate time to completely dry before you let a dog go back there. It's going to be more concentrated and more potentially toxic if it's wet, so you don't want a dog back there finding a puddle or licking on the grass and things like that.
What are the most common dog health conditions that can be prevented with a good wellness plan?
Truth be told, I think it's hard to prevent conditions. I think the real benefit of a wellness plan is catching them immediately when they are evident or begin to emerge, because you're going to be a lot more effective treating a condition if you catch it at step 1 versus at step 10. So checking often for lumps and bumps, or maybe arthritis in a dog. I mean, there's so many, again, it would be hard to cover all potential problems that we could find, but I think it's just that. I think it's the early detection that is key with routine wellness visits. Okay? All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. If you have any more questions, reach out to us, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks a lot.